I'd like to start this video by saying that I don't think Lawbreakers is a bad game. In fact, I had a lot of fun playing it and came through to me as something fresh, and I actually wish it did gain some traction instead of just plummeting straight into the ground, as the player base has recently been reported to have as little as 24 players online at once, which is a real shame because it really had potential to grow and could have become a decent game with a few changes that would have just benefited in the long run. Really, one of the main things that brought it down was that it's not memorable in any way, shape or form, and really got crushed by the AAA titles that were gaining a lot of traction at the time of its release. It really just fell into the crowd, for the few people that actually saw it without playing it would probably just think it's another Overwatch clone like Battleborn or Paladins. This was a pure example of a game creator and developers getting too cocky with the game, and Cliff Bleszinski claiming that it's going to be the next billion-dollar franchise was a massive mistake, considering it's now become a bit of a joke within the gaming community, and as I stated earlier, it's been shown to have more or less around 24 players at some peak times, which is just two full matches of people playing at once. And even then it's still being said that people are having trouble finding one match, and this is due to quite a few things that I'll be covering in this video. Like most team-based shooters, Lawbreakers features 9 unique characters with their own unique look, abilities, and weapon sets. Something that I found very interesting and actually have to give this game props for was that instead of having the same character models on both sides and just switching up the colors, they took a different approach and had it so that the models have a lot of variation to split both the Law and Breaker team sides. One of the main things that I think brought it down the most was it went pay to play after they originally stated that it would be a free team-based shooter, which I personally believe would have made it a much bigger success, as it would give a lot more people a chance to play it and give them an actual reason to play, considering its big competitors that were growing and gaining a lot of traction at the time. Another main issue I have with the game, and one of the reasons I think it flopped, was the maps. They had quite a few featured in the game, and overall they're not that unique, and it's pretty difficult to differentiate one from another considering how similar they all look, and the style they went for didn't really work for me, and I'm sure a lot of others. They were very complex and hard to get around, and the routes to get to the objective or main goal were not pointed out that well, and newer players would have found themselves getting completely lost and probably killed by someone who knew the map layout better than they did. They had 6 different modes to choose from. These included Overcharge, Uplink, Turf War, Blitzball, Occupy, and Team Deathmatch. They're really nothing too unique and have pretty much been done in the majority of team-based shooters I've seen or played. They all pretty much consist of either King of the Hill, Control Points, or Capture the Flag, with some sort of small insignificant twist. This could include like how they changed the flag to a battery. One thing I do really support the game with is trying to go for an older audience game with the whole trash-talking dialogue, which I haven't seen done a lot with recent FPSs and shooters. It was more of a thing you saw in games like Quake and Team Fortress 2, where it really made you feel accomplished and you had decimated an enemy player, as opposed to just racking up kills with no feeling of skill. And they just kind of felt really cheap, especially with games like Overwatch, with the ultimate ability, which is just a guaranteed kill card. I would have liked to see something more skill-based and situational, where you have to work more as a team to pull it off, rather than going one-man band to get a team kill. Another thing I thought would be worth mentioning was that Boss Key Productions originally released the game on PC and PlayStation, and it didn't look like it would be going on Xbox because Cliff Bleszinski really didn't seem like he wanted to go on Xbox, which I found pretty funny considering he worked on a bunch of big Xbox titles like the Gears of War series and Unreal. Another big issue Lawbreakers faced was they had little to no backstory on the game or even the characters themselves, which to be a hero-based shooter is really not something going to benefit in any way. Both Overwatch and TF2 have either already done this or are working towards explaining the characters as the game progresses. Overwatch seems to upload cinematics usually twice a year, while TF2 already has its characters explained and their roles represented for quite a few years now. While open betas are great for a new game like this, they had set it for 2-day weekends, and because of the steep learning curve that this game comes with and the skill level you need to work towards, unless you had bought the game and had extra experience, you would usually be put into matches with players who have gotten through that stage and really get crushed by them all, and players probably figure that they could be playing a game that is a lot more basic and friendly to newer players, and they would have just dropped it. This is a good segue into the marketing for the game, which was basically nothing. While some games market too much like No Man's Sky, Lawbreakers did the opposite and barely marketed at all. A game like Overwatch had the cinematic trailers and posters and the advertisements, which were pretty much plastered everywhere to the point where I couldn't escape seeing it somewhere. I originally found out about Lawbreakers through word of mouth on its final open beta weekend and watched the one cinematic trailer they released, and while being of high quality, it did not provide any insight to what the game experience would be like or convince you to check it out in the first place. I heard nothing previously about it, and I'm sure some of you even watching this video might not even know what it is. I genuinely think they could make it a great game if they go and make the game free to play like they originally said, and try to improve the game they have now and slowly grow their audience like games such as Rainbow Six Siege or Warframe did to start off with, which clearly worked as they have reasonably sized fan bases from when they originally started out, and have become very successful. Overall, I don't think Lawbreakers is inherently a bad game, it's just really how everything came together to work against it, and with no significant updates after its release, it seems pretty unlikely that the game will kick off anytime soon. So that's my thoughts on the topic. Feel free to comment if you have any opinions or something you'd like to discuss in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.